Most people use watercolor pencils as if they were watercolor paint. They add a little color, grab a brush, and hope the water does the rest. But that's exactly why their paintings look dull, muddy, and nowhere near as realistic as what they imagined. So today I'm going to show you why water isn't the star of the show with watercolor pencils, because the real work happens before the water even touches the paper. And by the end of this buffalo painting, you'll see how water is actually meant to reveal the painting you've built with your pencils, not paint it for you. I'll be working in my sketchbook with my favorite Faber-Castell Auberge Durer watercolor pencils and only a handful of colors, because one of my favorite things about watercolor pencils is that you don't need a huge palette. We'll rely heavily on color mixing right on the paper, and you'll see how far a few pencils and hardly any water can take us. Before we even touch the buffalo, I want a quick grassy background. To do that, I sand some green pigment directly onto the paper, then I smooth it out with a paper towel. Next, I add a bit of blue pigment to create dark greens, smear that as well, and finally I activate everything with a spray bottle. This is one of my favorite techniques because it's incredibly fast and always creates a smooth background. The funny thing is that the result looks very much like traditional watercolor. But don't let that fool you because creating a soft background is one thing. Drawing and painting something realistic is something else entirely. And that's where most people misunderstand watercolor pencils. From this point on, I am treating my watercolor pencils primarily like colored pencils. The difference is that I'm constantly keeping in mind that water will come later. That's why one thing you'll notice right away is that my pencils aren't razor sharp. They're not completely blunt either. It's somewhere in the middle, and that's intentional. With watercolor pencils, we're not trying to slowly fill every tiny nook in the paper. Water will help the pigment reach those areas later. That's why a moderately blunt tip allows me to color much faster while avoiding harsh streaks in the paper. If you've ever struggled with streaky watercolor pencil work, this is one of the biggest changes you can make because for large areas, I often sand pigment directly onto the paper as you saw, but for smaller subjects like this buffalo, I rely on that blunt lead, but also light pressure and elongated circular motions. These techniques I teach are the foundations of successful watercolor pencil work. And to make the coloring easier and faster, the first thing I establish on the buffalo is the midtone. These are the lighter brown areas visible in my reference photo. And instead of starting with brown, I choose orange. Now I switch to brown and I begin building the darker areas, especially toward the lower half of the buffalo. For many artists, this would already feel like enough. Color the shape, activate it, and move on. But this is exactly where most watercolor pencil paintings stop far too early and look super flat and boring. That's why I keep layering. Now the brown starts overlapping the orange. Later, when water is added, those areas won't simply become just brown and orange. They'll become rich, vibrant, warm browns created through layering. So notice how the color relationships are already being built now, long before I even use my brush. This is where watercolor pencils behave much more like colored pencils than most people realize, only with them it is much quicker to get the coloring done. For the eyes, nose, and ears, I sharpen my pencil slightly because those areas require more precision. That's one of the major advantages of working with pencils in the first place. Once those features are established, the tip naturally becomes more blunt again, so I can continue coloring quickly without creating dents or streaks, thanks to the technique I mentioned before, light pressure and circular motions. Because I've already built an orange and brown foundation, now I can press a little harder wherever I see darker values in the reference. At this stage, I'm thinking like a drawing artist much more than a painter. I'm constantly comparing what I see in the photo to what's happening on the paper, and the goal really is to draw the buffalo entirely. One thing that helps tremendously with realism is following the direction of the form while coloring. So I imagine the curves and structure of the buffalo underneath the fur, and I let my pencil strokes move with those shapes. Instead of simply filling areas, I'm thinking about volume. You'll see how this will help any subject feel more believable long before any water is involved. I'm also careful to preserve some of the paper whites. And that's something watercolor pencils have in common with traditional watercolor. Because we'll be using water, it'll be easy to leverage paper for whites, and that often produces the most beautiful highlights. So if you can remember that, plan your brightest highlights when you're coloring and avoid them. Once the main features are defined and the buffalo is really beginning to come alive, still no water. I return with orange and I layer even more color. The goal isn't to saturate the paper excessively. I'm still working with moderate pressure, and I'm still not trying to fill every single nook of the paper. Water will help with that later. What I want is color richness. I want those future browns to glow rather than look muddy or lifeless. Orange is my secret weapon here, so I make sure I have enough of it on paper. Besides, overlapping colors is always a good idea to connect the light, mid, and dark tones to one another. To help anchor the buffalo into its environment a bit more, I add touches of green and brown under the paws. It's a small detail, but it creates a visual connection between the animal and the ground, and that will make everything feel more realistic. And still no water because over the years, I've found that the best watercolor pencil paintings come from pushing the drawing stage much further than most artists expect or teach. Build your colors first, layer, refine, and only then activate. That's why I've introduced blue here. Not because the buffalo is blue, but because blue layered over brown creates deeper, richer shadows. It increases realism. I focus on the key features of the buffalo and on strengthening shadows and creating more contrast. The face also gains structure, as you can see, and the darker areas gain depth. The orange and warm browns now have something powerful to play against. By the time I'm finished layering, I've spent roughly an hour coloring this buffalo. That's where most of the work happens. The structure is there, colors and values are there. And now comes the fun part, the revealing stage. The first and most obvious way to use water is activation. But even here, most people make two mistakes. First, they activate drawings that aren't finished, and then they use far too much water. But water is just a tool for watercolor pencils to work. That's why you'll see me holding a paper towel throughout the activation process. I activate small sections at a time. Usually I begin with the lighter areas and I gradually move toward the shadows. This allows darker pigments to melt naturally into lighter areas rather than contaminating them. I also clean my brush constantly, so every new section starts with a clean brush. We already mapped everything out with the pencils, so there is no need to drag old pigment around the painting. Remember, we're just revealing what's already there, we're not adding to it. And the process is very simple throughout. I just wet the brush, I remove the excess moisture on the paper towel, and then I activate a small area. And then I repeat. A little back and forth motion is perfectly fine when you activate the pencils because it helps dissolve the pigment completely and it creates smoother transitions. But try not overworking it. If you scrub too long in one place, you'll start lifting pigment instead of activating it, and you'll have to color and activate again later. As I work on the grassy area now, I deliberately pull some pigment outward onto the blank paper to create grass tufts. This is one of those moments where water helps us go beyond simple activation and starts becoming a creative tool. So those techniques I'm sharing can all be used more or less in a painting, depending on what it is you're working on, and I've got a ton of different examples on this channel. Now look at what happened. The drawing didn't disappear, the details didn't vanish, and the structure stayed intact. The drawing is simply transformed into a painting. The only difference is that now it is smooth and the colors look much more deep and vibrant. That's why I keep vouching for watercolor pencils. They're totally valid as their own medium. And wait, because we're not done with water yet. One of my favorite techniques here is using water after activation to lift pigment intentionally. For example here, I re-wet selected dry areas, and then I use a paper towel to remove some of the paint. This instantly creates lighter areas and additional highlights. On the buffalo's belly, this technique becomes especially effective because it creates texture and details at the same time. The lifted marks create long strands of fur with very little effort. So instead of adding more like we might with colored pencils, again, we're just revealing something, and always with a tad of water. And still, watercolor pencils are a fantastic tool for details. For example, this is where I love bringing out the white pencil. Sometimes I use it dry like a colored pencil for subtle highlights. Other times, I dip the tip in water and I apply wet pigment directly to the paper for brighter, more noticeable accents. And at this stage, notice my pencils are much sharper because I'm no longer building large shapes. The broad work is finished. Now it's all about refinement. Here I use the wet pencil technique to add more grass, but also to sharpen important features and strengthen focal points. What I love about watercolor pencils is that it combines the best of both worlds between colored pencils and watercolor, but it's a unique experience. You get the precision, control, and detail of the pencils while still achieving the beautiful painted look of watercolor, and it's quicker in my experience. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments below. It helps me understand what you need to improve, and it helps the video reach more people. And if you'd like to learn with me more in depth, you'll find my watercolor pencil mastery course linked in the description below. It's completely self-paced and it includes 26 projects, detailed technique lessons, and my personal feedback. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.